Hello, home dogs. Today's video is all about my fair city of Gotham. And if you are a fan of Gotham, I would take it as a personal insult if you don't subscribe to Channel Pop right now. Hello noble home dogs. In today's video we will be looking at every season of the Gotham TV series that originally aired on Fox, and ranking them from worst to best, as well as giving a little bit of reasoning for it. So coming in at 5th place as what I would consider my least favorite season is Season 5. Now that's not to say that this is a bad season of television at all, or that I even dislike it. I think Gotham Season 5 was fully aware that it had a lot on its shoulders. There was a lot that this season had to juggle as the final season of the show, and as well as that, it was a much shorter run than the previous seasons. Usual episode run is 22 episodes, in this case it was only 12. Not only that, the previous season ended on a cliffhanger with Gotham being transformed into no man's land. So in this final season they had to round off all of the existing characters and put an end to the no man's land story, as well as delivering a satisfying introduction to the Batman. And so my question is, why the flying fuck would you use most of this season's already short run on introducing new villain of the week storylines? When you've got all that to tackle in a satisfying fashion, at what point would you logically say, yeah, let's do this villain here called the Granny, let's do Magpie, let's do a 2-part remake of The Dark Knight Rises? Now, admittedly, that put an end to the No Man's Land storyline, but a remake of The Dark Knight Rises? Because it really is that. It follows the same plot beats. Bane is a puppet for Talia al Ghul. They're trying to bring Gotham's reckoning, and Batman has to rise from that. Which is also a shame, because I can't even say that all of the non-filler episodes are good. Now, there are admittedly some good episodes in here, good filler and good actual plot stuff. The highlight probably being the Ace Chemicals episode devoted to Jeremiah Valeska, which, let's face it, he's the one we were all here to see this time around. So, definitely an enjoyable season of television, but just overall an underwhelming one with an egregious amount of filler. So, coming in 4th place, we have Gotham Season 3. Now, what I will say is I do think the first half of Season 3 did a really great job at expanding upon Penguin and Riddler's sort of character dynamic, and the second half of Season 2, Riddler was definitely the highlight in there. There was a lot of fun stuff with the Penguin's mayoral campaign. The whole thing with the monsters and Fish Mooney returning to Gotham, I won't lie, it felt very quickly over and done with, but I loved how Penguin and Fish Mooney's sort of dynamic was resolved in the end, with her kind of saying that she's proud of where he's come today because she created the Penguin, effectively. The mid-season finale, while the first half is a bit silly, the second half with Jerome and the Circus of Terror was just chef's kiss. But now for the things I really didn't like about Season 3, I must admit the Court of Owls stuff was I realize that this is the most subjective criticism of all, but it was boring, in my opinion. Now, I don't think the Court of Owls are inherently boring, but in this, it was boring. I was bored by it. And then there's the Tetch virus, which also went on for far too long. There were a lot of story beats in the first half that felt like they could have been resolved in the first half that instead just dragged all the way out to the second half. And yeah, Season 3 feels too long. And by the end, I was just kind of left feeling a little bit exhausted by it. Again, not a bad season of television and some great standout episodes in there, but definitely one of the weaker ones. In 3rd place, we have Season 1. Gotham Season 1 is kind of a bit of a dark horse, because after Season 1, Gotham would go on to have this very zany, kooky, it's Batman without Batman kind of vibe to it. Whereas Season 1 was devoted to being a little more serious and being a little bit more of a cop show with kind of a villain of the week format, which definitely worked well for it. For starters, Season 1 definitely laid down the groundwork of things to come and did it in an immensely satisfying way, but I also really loved the mob focus, which seems to get lost in later seasons. When I was first hearing about this season, and I was hearing that Don Maroney and Don Falcone are a big part of this show, and it's Penguin kind of lying to the two sides and everything, I would have thought, okay, that sounds potentially kind of intriguing. but I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I think Don Falcone is definitely one of the most underrated characters in this season, and there's a lot of memorable moments in this first season that have really stuck with me. I love the whole thing of Fish Mooney hiring Liza to kind of get to know Don Falcone and become kind of his Achilles heel. But in the mid-season, where Don Falcone finds out and chokes her, and then Fish Mooney discovers that Penguin is working for Falcone. Absolutely sensational ending. The scene where Sal Maroni and Penguin are playing the secrets game, where they kind of tell each other secrets, and it's just very tense, and Maroni knows that he's working for Falcone. And then Penguin thinks he's got the upper hand, but then there's no bullets in his gun. Superb tension, superb television. And then there's the bit in the finale where Penguin rises up and declares himself the king of Gotham after killing, or thinking he's killed, Fish Mooney. This season was a seriously thrilling crime drama, as well as that the surprise twist with Barbara Keene, where she's actually kinda psychotic after falling in love with the ogre. And it went to some seriously dark places as well. I remember when the doll maker wanted Fish Mooney's eye, so she gouged it out herself with a spoon. Gotham Season 1 was absolutely fantastic TV. The reason it's only in third place is I must admit I do prefer what Gotham went on to be, with that more sort of 1970s House of Horror vibe that it would pick up in Season 2. As well as that, the pacing in Season 1 did have a tendency to feel just a little bit choppy. It wasn't quite as smooth as it would go on to be. So while it is a little flawed, Gotham Season 1 laid down the groundwork for a fantastic show with fantastic characters, and it is to be commended for it. Don't be a nagging drunken whore. Subscribe to Channel Pup if you're enjoying this video, and consider checking the Patreon link in the description below. So in second place, we have Gotham Season 4. Undoubtedly, Gotham Season 4 is thrilling, and it's where we're really starting to see the formation of everything. Once again, like the seasons before, it's very much a show in two halves, but the first half is devoted mostly to Scarecrow, Professor Pig, the Penguin being the mayor of Gotham, Sophia Falcone. That's all really interesting stuff. I think the highlight of that first half was the Penguin's sort of dynamic with Martine, someone he'd kind of taken on to be kind of his apprentice in a way. It was nice to see a bit more of the Penguin's more human qualities through him. Professor Pig was also exciting and terrifying, and it's nice to see a very underrated Batman villain really get the spotlight. But what I don't understand is why he needed to be a fake out that was just impersonating the real Professor Pig. What, is there a Professor Pig embargo? And sadly, Professor Pig was not the only character to get this treatment. See, the second half of Season 4 is devoted entirely to Gotham's Joker, Jerome Valeska. Okay, great, you got a great second half this time. But it turns out Jerome Valeska is, at least now, not the real Joker. He's more just the twin brother of the Joker that made the Joker into the Joker, or just kind of unleashed his brother's inner Joker, as the show would more like us to believe. To be fair, it's entertaining stuff, and it is handled really, really well, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little frustrated by the whole fake out thing with Jerome. It's just kind of annoying when a character really wins you over, only to find out that that character's not it, and then you've got to be won over all over again. And admittedly, it's the same actor, but it's a completely different portrayal, and I must admit, it's a little bit of a downgrade. At least in my opinion, and seemingly the popular opinion anyway, but I've already made enough videos on that. Other things I wasn't so big on were Barbara Keene becoming the Demon's Head and having mystical hand light powers. That wasn't really for me, and they definitely really went on the nose with her sort of statement at the end of the season that men are her true enemy. Like, it doesn't really bug me, but it is very, very, very on the nose what they were trying to do with this character at that point. Only for this whole thing to kind of just dissipate come the next season. But that's more of a Season 5 thing than a Season 4 thing, and admittedly, I'm happy that they didn't go down that road. And then there's the thing I'm not sure how to react to is Bruce Wayne is kind of going through his kind of adolescent stage, and as well as that, he's struggling to comprehend what he's kind of done to Ra's al Ghul. So he goes wayward and very much starts to take his frustrations out on Alfred. Now, Alfred is my favorite protagonist character in Gotham, and I hate to see him get treated like that. And because of that, the first half of Season 4 isn't always an easy watch, but then when they make it right, it's great. It's really nice. So Season 4 has a lot of really unmissable, purely entertaining TV moments in it, but it doesn't take the top spot, because that, my friends, goes to Gotham Season 2.
Gotham Season 2 is like a home run season of television. In my eyes, the gold standard of superhero TV entertainment. It begins with probably the strongest 3 opening episodes of any season of television that I've ever seen. And yes, obviously that is in a very big way thanks to Cameron Monaghan returning as Jerome. But surprisingly, when it's time for Jerome to go, the show manages to maintain all of its momentum. Thanks to a really compelling main villain in the first half, Theo Galavan. A pretty new and unique villain to this universe that is connected to Azrael. But in that first half, we are very much getting a brand new character with Theo Galavan, and he is a very scary character. A devious manipulator, capable of getting the entire city eating out of the palm of his hand, all in a bid for absolute power with malicious intent. So when we see the regular heroes and villains of Gotham all team up and unite to stop him, it is a satisfying moment. But then we move into the second half of the season, which is home to some of the best episodes. Can I just say, for one thing, this ball of mud and meanness is a masterpiece. Hands down, it's a masterpiece. You've got Bruce Wayne confronting the killer of his parents and discovering his humanity. But as well as that, we've also got the Penguin's reformation arc, which in some ways is a little bit like A Clockwork Orange, where he's very much had his own sense of humanity stripped away from him in a bid to make him less dangerous, and he reconnects with his father after the death of his mother Gertrude. But then when we see his new sort of step family abuse him, and we see him take his revenge through reforming as the Penguin, oh my fucking god, that is amazing. And then you have the second half of the season dedicated to Hugo Strange experimenting on the dead to create a new set of monsters for Gotham City. Another great story that doesn't overstay its welcome. Gotham Season 2 just gets it right. So that is my ranking of all of the Gotham seasons. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think, so comment below and discuss. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, hit subscribe, hit the like button, and in the description below are different links to different social media feeds, as well as the Patreon and join button for if you are feeling extra supportive and extra generous. But of course, you don't have to do that. That's a big ask. I would never expect that of you. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys, and have a great day.